Hello? My girlfriend said, I need a break. Don't contact me. I didn't argue. I just replied, okay. While she took her break, I quietly canceled her birthday gift and changed the locks. Weeks later, my phone rang. She said, I'm ready to resume. By then, there was nothing left to resume. I'm 29M. My girlfriend, well, ex, I guess, is 27F. We'd been together just over 3 years, living together for the last one in an apartment that's technically in my name. Not because I'm controlling, but because my credit was better and she was between things when we moved in. That phrase comes up a lot with her. Things hadn't been great lately, but they also weren't in it now bad. More like constant low-grade tension. She'd snap at me over nothing. The way I loaded the dishwasher. The fact that I asked how her day was too many times. She said I was needy. I said she was distant. Same argument, different week. Her birthday was coming up. Big one for her. She'd been dropping hints for months. A weekend trip. Jewelry. Something thoughtful but not cheap. I booked a surprise. Non-refundable. Took time off work. I was actually excited to give it to her. Then, last Tuesday, at 10:47 p.m., I got the text. I need a break. Don't contact me. No explanation. No timeline. Just that. I stared at my phone waiting for the follow-up. There wasn't one. I replied with one word. Okay. I didn't ask questions. I didn't argue. I didn't beg. Mostly because I was tired. And partly because something about the way she said it, like a command, finally clicked something in my head. She didn't want space. She wanted control. She wanted me waiting. Anxious. On standby. I went to bed that night alone for the first time in a year. The apartment felt weirdly quiet. Not sad. Just still. The next morning, I woke up and did something she absolutely did not expect. I took her at her word. And I started acting like the break was real. The first 24 hours were almost peaceful. No buzzing phone. No passive-aggressive sighs from the couch. No running commentary about how I wasn't showing up emotionally enough. Just silence. And in that silence, something uncomfortable surfaced. Relief. I went to work like normal. Didn't check my phone every 5 minutes. Didn't rehearse apologies in my head. When coworkers asked how things were going, I said, fine. And for once it wasn't a lie I had to defend. By day 2, reality started to settle in. A break with a command attached isn't a pause, it's a test. She expected panic. She expected paragraphs. She expected me to break the rule just enough to prove I still needed her. I didn't. Instead, I opened my email and found the confirmation for her birthday trip. The one she'd been hinting at nonstop. The one she bragged about to her friends even though she didn't care about material things. Non-refundable hotel. Prepaid reservations. A gift timed perfectly for someone who expected to be celebrated no matter how badly they treated you. I stared at the screen longer than I expected to. Then I canceled what I could. Credits instead of cash. Still a loss, but less of one. That felt important. That night, I cleaned the apartment. Not aggressively, just methodically. Her stuff was everywhere. Shoes by the door. Makeup spread across the bathroom like she claimed territory. Clothes hanging in my closet that she hadn't worn in months but insisted on keeping just in case. I didn't pack anything yet, but I noticed something else. The lease. The utilities. The internet. All in my name. She always said it made more sense that way. On day 4, I changed the locks. Not dramatically. Not as revenge. Just practically. If someone tells you not to contact them, you should probably assume they don't want access either. I told myself it was temporary. I told myself I was just respecting her boundary. Deep down, I knew better. Because for the first time since we moved in together, I wasn't waiting to be chosen. And once you stop waiting, you start seeing how much of the relationship was built on you staying available on demand. By the end of the first week, the silence stopped feeling temporary and started feeling intentional. She still hadn't reached out. No, just checking in. No angry bait text. Nothing. Which told me she was waiting. Letting the anxiety marinate. She'd done this before. Pull away, let me spiral, then come back once I'd learned my lesson. Only this time, I wasn't spiraling. I took another look around the apartment. The more I noticed, the harder it was to unsee. Every shared space was curated to her taste. Her throw pillows, her candles, her framed affirmations about communication and softness and growth. All purchased with my card because she paid me back later. Later never came. I opened the fridge and realized half the food was stuff she liked, but complained I never touched. Almond milk she yelled at me for using. Fancy yogurts that expired untouched. Leftovers from dinners she insisted we order, then picked at while criticizing my appetite. That night, her best friend texted me. Hey, are you and her okay? I stared at the message for a full minute before replying. She asked for space. I'm respecting it. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Yeah, she just said you were being weirdly quiet. Weirdly quiet. Not abusive. Not neglectful. Quiet. Apparently silence is only a problem when it's not on her terms. On day 9, I got a notification from the building's security app. Someone had tried to use her old access code. Denied. Timestamped. Logged. No message from her. No explanation. Just an attempt to slip back in without acknowledging anything had changed. That's when I packed her things. I didn't throw them in garbage bags. I folded her clothes. Put her shoes together. Organized her makeup into the same case she traveled with. I treated her belongings with more care than she'd treated the relationship for months. I stacked the boxes neatly in the storage closet and shut the door. 2 weeks in, my phone rang. Her name lit up the screen. I let it ring. A minute later, a text. Ready to talk yet? Not sorry. Not checking in. Ready. That's when it hit me. She didn't miss me. She missed the pause button not working the way it used to. And I realized something important. If someone can put you on hold without explanation, they shouldn't be surprised when the line eventually disconnects. She didn't like being ignored. That became clear fast. After the ready to talk yet text went unanswered, the messages started stacking. Not apologies, accusations. Apparently, my silence was immature. Apparently, I was punishing her. Apparently, I was supposed to break first. She finally sent, "Are you really going to act like I don't exist?" I typed a response. Deleted it. Typed another. Deleted that too. She told me not to contact her. I was still honoring that. 3 days later, she showed up. No warning. No heads up. Just her knocking on the door like nothing had changed. Like this was all some extended timeout she could end whenever she felt ready. I didn't open it. I watched through the peephole as she checked her phone, frowned, knocked again, harder this time. Then she tried the handle. Locked. She stepped back, confused. Pulled out her phone and called me. I let it ring. Her text came seconds later. "What the hell did you do?" I finally replied. One sentence. "You asked for a break." That set her off. She accused me of being dramatic. Of misunderstanding. Said the break was supposed to be emotional, not logistical. That I was being petty over semantics. Semantics. She stood in the hallway typing paragraphs while neighbors passed by pretending not to look. She said I was overreacting. That she just needed space to clear her head. That I was making things worse by escalating. I asked her, calmly, through the door, how long was the break supposed to last? Silence. Then, that's not the point. Of course it wasn't. She wanted the option to come and go. To reset the board whenever things stopped going her way. She wanted me frozen in place, exactly where she left me. I told her I'd pack the rest of her things, and she could pick them up later. She laughed. Actually laughed. "You're not serious." I was. Because the moment someone treats your presence like something they can toggle on and off, the healthiest thing you can do is stop being available on demand. And for the first time since that text, I could feel it clearly. There was already nothing left to pause. She didn't come back that night. Or the next. Instead, she went silent again. But this time it wasn't strategic calm. It was scrambling silence. The kind where someone realizes the ground they stepped off of didn't freeze in place waiting for them. On day 18 of the break, her birthday arrived. Normally, that day was a production. Countdown stories. Early morning fishing for validation. Complaints if the attention wasn't loud enough. This year, there was nothing. No posts. No hints. No passive-aggressive memes about being forgotten. I woke up early out of habit and remembered the gift. The trip. The one I'd planned for months. The one I'd already canceled. I didn't feel guilty. I felt done. Around noon, her sister texted me. "Hey, did you and her break up?" I replied honestly. She asked for a break and told me not to contact her. I respected that. There was a long pause before the response. Oh, that single word carried more weight than any argument we'd had in the last year. That evening, I got a call. Not from her. From her mom. She was polite but strained. Asked if I knew why her daughter was so upset today. Mentioned it was her birthday. Suggested maybe I could reach out and be the bigger person. I said I hoped she had a good birthday. I did not reach out. That night, my phone finally lit up with her name. This is cruel. No hello. No context. I replied with the same energy she'd given me weeks earlier. You asked for no contact. She sent a voice memo next. Angry. Shaky. She said I was heartless. That normal couples don't just disappear. That I was punishing her for needing space. That she never meant this. I listened once. Then deleted it. Because here's the thing she still didn't understand. A break without communication isn't space. It's abandonment with an expectation of return. And birthdays don't magically undo choices. By midnight, the day was over. So was whatever she thought we were on pause from. She just didn't know it yet. After her birthday passed, the tone changed. The anger burned off and left panic underneath. She started calling instead of texting. Long calls, missed calls, then voicemails where her voice softened like she was talking to a stranger instead of someone she'd iced out on command. Hey, I think this has gone far enough. I just needed a little space, not whatever this is. You're being extreme. Extreme. For doing exactly what she asked. I didn't respond. That's when she tried reframing history. She texted me screenshots of old messages where she'd said things like I love you or you're my person, as if affection from months ago erased the last instruction she'd given me. She said she never meant no contact literally, that I should have known she'd reach out when she was ready. Apparently, mind reading was part of my job. She showed up again one afternoon while I was working from home. This time she didn't knock. She buzzed every unit in the building until someone let her in. I heard her outside the door, pacing, talking to herself, then whispering into her phone. I didn't open it. She slid a note under the door. This is childish. We live together. You don't get to shut me out just because you're mad. That line stuck with me. Not because you're hurt. Not because you're confused. Because you're mad. She still thought this was a mood I'd snap out of. I finally replied that evening. One message. You told me not to contact you. I took that seriously. I'm no longer in a relationship that can be paused without discussion. Her response was immediate. So you're just done? Over one text? No. Over a pattern. I told her she could pick up the rest of her things on Saturday. I'd leave them outside. She replied, you're throwing everything away. I stared at the message and realized something quietly important. I wasn't throwing anything away. I was just finally letting go of something that had already been dropped. Saturday came faster than I expected. I spent the morning packing the rest of her things. What she hadn't already grabbed in a rush. What she'd assumed would still be waiting whenever she felt ready to come back. Jackets she might need later. Books she never read but liked how they looked on shelves. Random chargers. Half-used bottles of everything. I lined the boxes up neatly by the door like this was a routine move out, not the quiet end of a 3-year relationship. At noon, she texted, I'm on my way. Please don't make this weird. That line almost made me laugh. She arrived 10 minutes early. She always did that, showing up before agreed times, like rules were suggestions meant for other people. I watched from the window as she took in the boxes, her posture stiffening as reality finally organized itself in front of her. She knocked once. Softer this time. I opened the door. She looked tired. Not sad, irritated tired. The kind of exhaustion that comes from plans not going the way you rehearse them in your head. So this is it? She asked, gesturing at the boxes. This is your stuff? I said. Yes. She crossed her arms. You really think this is how adults handle conflict? I didn't answer right away. I let the silence do what it needed to do. She rolled her eyes. I told you I needed a break. Not a breakup. You told me not to contact you. I said. You didn't say when it would end. She snapped back instantly. Because I shouldn't have to explain everything to you. That sentence felt familiar. Too familiar. She accused me of being dramatic again. Said I'd overreacted. Said I'd humiliated her by canceling plans she'd told people about. My plans, apparently, had become her guarantees. She asked if I enjoyed this. If I felt powerful. I told her no. I told her I felt done. That's when her voice changed. Softer. Almost reasonable. She said maybe we'd both messed up. Maybe we could reset. Maybe she'd overestimated how much space she needed. I looked at her, standing there surrounded by cardboard and consequences, and realized something painful but freeing. She wasn't coming back because she missed me. She was coming back because the world didn't pause when she told it to. I helped her carry the boxes to her car. No arguing. No tears. When she drove away, I locked the door behind me and leaned against it. Not because I was sad. Because for the first time in weeks, I could finally feel the weight lift. I thought that would be the end of it. Clean handoff. Boxes delivered. Door closed. It wasn't. A week passed, then another. Just long enough for her to convince herself that this wasn't permanent. Just a dramatic phase I'd cool off from once I got it out of my system. Then I got the call. Not from her. From an unknown number. I answered, and a woman introduced herself as my girlfriend's friend. Correction, former roommate, apparently. She asked, carefully, if my ex was staying with me again. I said no. There was a pause, then a quiet. Okay, that makes sense. Turns out the break hadn't gone well anywhere else either. She'd moved in with the friend temporarily, complained constantly about how unfair I was being, how cold I'd become, how she was just trying to protect her mental health. She expected sympathy. She got exhaustion. According to the friend, my ex kept saying, "He'll come around. He always does." That line hit harder than any insult she'd thrown at me directly. A few days later, I noticed something else. My streaming accounts logged in from a new device. Her device. She still had the passwords. Muscle memory, I guess, assuming access would always be there. I changed every password that night. Email, bank, subscriptions, everything. Within minutes, my phone buzzed. Why did Netflix log me out? I stared at the message for a long time before replying. Because we don't share a life anymore. She immediately escalated. Accused me of being petty. Of nickel-and-diming. Of trying to erase her. She said, "You don't just cut someone off like this after everything." Everything. 3 years reduced to a list of entitlements she felt owed. She ended the rant with, "I think I'm ready to resume. Not talk. Not apologize. Resume." Like the relationship was a pause show she expected to pick back up at the same timestamp. I didn't reply that night. Because for the first time, I understood something clearly. You can't resume something when the other person has already finished the season, returned the remote, and moved on with their life. And she still hadn't realized that the silence wasn't punishment. It was closure. She didn't take my silence well. 2 days after the ready to resume text, she sent another message, longer this time. Less attitude, more nostalgia. She reminded me of trips we'd taken. Inside jokes. Hard times we'd survived. As if shared history automatically entitled her to future access. "I think we both overreacted," she wrote. "We can just pick up where we left off." That sentence bothered me more than anything else she'd said. Where she left off was control. Where I left off was exhaustion. I replied once. Carefully. "There's no where we left off. You ended things when you told me not to contact you. I respected that. I moved on." Her response was instant and vicious. "So you're punishing me forever over a misunderstanding? You're acting like a stranger. I didn't think you'd actually abandon me." Abandon. That word again. Used by someone who had explicitly pushed me away. She showed up at the building that weekend. Didn't knock this time. Just waited outside until she saw me leaving for groceries. Blocked my path like we were in a movie scene she'd rehearsed. "You can't seriously be done," she said. 3 years doesn't just disappear. I looked at her, really looked, and noticed how unfamiliar she felt. Same face, same voice, but no authority over me anymore. "It didn't disappear," I said. "It ended." She scoffed. "So what? You just erased me." "No," I replied. "You erased us when you treated the relationship like something you could put down and pick back up whenever you felt like it." She went quiet then. Not angry, not defensive, just stunned. I think that was the first moment she understood this wasn't about winning. It was about permanence. She stepped aside without another word. "Let me pass." As I walked away, I felt something solidify, something I hadn't felt in a long time. Finality. And once you reach that point, there's no resuming anything. There's only moving forward. It's been a few months now. Long enough that the adrenaline faded and what's left feels quiet. Not empty. Quiet in a way that lets you hear yourself think again. I haven't heard from her since that last encounter outside the building. No texts. No surprise emails. No late night, "I miss you," attempts wrapped in nostalgia. I think, finally, she understood that there really was nothing left to resume. Mutual friends filled in the gaps without me asking. She bounced between couches for a while. Complained that everyone expected too much from her. That no one was patient the way I used to be. Apparently, patience looks a lot like tolerance when you're benefiting from it. She tells people now that I changed. That I became cold. That I blindsided her. I don't correct the story. Because the truth is simpler and quieter than any version she tells. I didn't change overnight. I just stopped overriding my own boundaries when someone told me exactly where I stood. That text, "I need a break. Don't contact me," wasn't a pause button. It was an instruction. And for the first time in our relationship, I followed instructions instead of negotiating my own dignity away. Canceling the birthday gift wasn't revenge. Changing the locks wasn't drama. It was acceptance. Acceptance that someone who can disappear on command doesn't get to dictate when things restart. When she called weeks later saying she was ready to resume, she sounded confident. Like I'd been frozen in time, waiting for her cue. But life doesn't pause just because one person walks away expecting the door to stay open. By the time she was ready, I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't hurt anymore. I just wasn't hers anymore. And that's the part one thinks she'll always struggle with. Not that I left, but that I stayed gone. Bye-bye.